Hey, it's Barb from Wonderful Works, and today we're going to talk about something that may be more common than you know, but is talked about less than it should be, especially when it comes to church, and that is Fetal Alcohol Spectrum Disorders, FASD. Did you know that according to a 2023 study from the National Library of Medicine, that fetal alcohol spectrum disorders is the most common neurodevelopmental disorder in the general public? And that means it's even more common than autism, yet very few people know much about it. Well, today we're going to take a closer look at FASD and see how church leaders, especially in the youth group, can help set up students for success. We're so glad you're here today. Hey, what's wrong? Oh, you just talked to the youth leader and it wasn't good? And you're sad because he just doesn't understand fetal alcohol spectrum disorders or how they affect your son? And you believe that if he only understood more, then maybe things here wouldn't have to be so hard all the time? Well, what would you like youth leaders to know? The first thing that families would like youth leaders to know is what FASD really is. While most people know that it's caused by prenatal alcohol exposure, what you might not know is that FASD isn't just one condition. It's an umbrella term that covers a group of disorders that affect people in different ways. In fact, according to the National Institutes of Health, the term Fetal Alcohol Spectrum Disorders, FASD, refers to a wide range of physical, behavioral, and cognitive impairments that occur due to alcohol exposure before birth. And that means that no two cases of FASD are just alike. Some people may be mildly affected, while others, such as those who have been diagnosed with fetal alcohol syndrome, may have significant impairment. And another thing that might surprise you, you probably won't be able to tell that a child has FASD just by looking at him. Only 10% show physical traits of a developmental disability. This means that 90% don't. So this is what we call an invisible disability. But what you may notice are differences in how the brain processes information, manages emotions, and handles social situations. This can become more apparent as a child enters adolescence, which means it can become even more important for youth leaders to have a better understanding of fetal alcohol spectrum disorders. 3 things families would like youth leaders to know. Number 1, expectations should match a student's developmental level, not their age level. While FASD begins at birth and stays with a person throughout their life, it often becomes easier to recognize during adolescence, because this is when it becomes more obvious that a student's developmental age is behind their chronological age. For example, a teen with FASD might be physically 16, but their emotional and social development could be closer to a 12-year-old. This is often referred to as dysmaturity and is commonly seen in FASD. Stop and think about that for a minute. How hard would life be if everyone's expectations for you were several years ahead of your development? And even if you wanted to meet their expectations, you just weren't able to yet. How often do you think people would point out your struggles? And how would that feel? So the first way you can support students with FASD is to simply accept them as they are. Understand that it's okay if their development is behind. It's just part of who they are, not something that they're doing wrong. Then work with your team to provide the level of support that matches their development. This may mean creating flexible spaces where everyone can participate at their own pace, or providing extra support with a leader or peer mentor that has more training. And if a student connects better with the younger kids in the group, know that that's okay, but also know that having more supervision here is a good idea. And of course, be sure to encourage leaders to meet challenges with compassion, not judgment. Adjusting expectations, providing safe boundaries, and communicating with care is a great way to support your student. Number 2, structure is your friend. Structure and clear communication help everyone, but can be crucial for students with FASD. So if you want to set them up for success, create clear routines, use visual schedules, and make sure that expectations are consistent. Then improve communication further by breaking down complex activities into smaller steps and using visual cues whenever possible. Number 3, focus on strengths, not struggles. Remember when we talked about how often students with FASD have their struggles pointed out to them and how that feels? Well, it doesn't have to be that way, especially at church. Every person with FASD is first and foremost a beloved child of God, created in His image with unique gifts to share. Many are exceptionally creative, naturally caring, and have an amazing ability to think outside the box. all of which are gifts that can make youth group an even better place for everyone. So take time and intentionally create opportunities for your student to shine. Well, I think we learned a lot about fetal alcohol spectrum disorders in youth group, but there's one more thing before you go. Today we learned that paying attention to developmental levels, offering structure, and focusing on strengths is good for all teens, but it's especially helpful for those with FASD. But perhaps the most important thing you should know when it comes to supporting students with FASD is this: our calling is not to judge, not to fix, but to love. And every child is worth that love. So even when things feel hard, keep praying, keep trying, and keep learning. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.